Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram. We hope you guys are having a wonderful Halloween season. We are back to review Cabinet of Curiosities, episode 3 and 4, now out on Netflix. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to like and subscribe and join our community tab as well. But Akram, what did you think of these next 2 episodes of Cabinet of Curiosity?
Yeah, it really gross. It's very much like body horror, I guess. I like it though. We were talking about in the last episode that we did. We were talking about like there's like some through line for like certain themes or genres that they try and do, and this one's definitely body horror. I think it was a really different take. I like how different each episode is. It's not really all about ghosts and demons and stuff. It could be about aliens and just in general crazy people. So give us your thoughts.
Yeah, these episodes, especially episode 3, is definitely not for the faint of heart. I would say if you're squeamish about like blood or like you said, body horror, this definitely isn't the show for you. But it was great overall. Like you said, I do appreciate with Guillermo is trying to do with like these different concepts, and like they take from like these like short stories, and it makes me mad now because like we see like all these generic ass like you said, like ghost story movies now, or like these slasher killers, but there's so many concepts that they can explore, like these 2 episodes. I love just like the originality of them, and even though they're like only like an hour long, they have like these really like deep ideas for a horror story. But yeah, let's start with episode 3, which is titled The Autopsy and directed by David Pryor. What were your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, so it started off, I like the way how they did the structure for this episode. It was like it actually showed events like in different order at least, and then we have the actor Glynn Turman telling F. Murray Abraham, which is great to see him back because I always love that actor, telling him this whole thing that happened with this mysterious character in this small town in Pennsylvania, which is really cool. And yeah, it's this weird ball. It's like, I just love how everything Guillermo del Toro is like involved with, they always have like these interesting, unique designs. So it's like this weird ball that ended up being like some bomb, and we get why it explodes later on in this mine shaft and everyone dies. And I just love the chemistry that F. Murray Abraham has with Glynn Turman. I think that's really cool. He kind of reminds me of like Donald Glover in a sense, like Lethal Weapon a little bit. Like,
getting but too old for this.
Yeah, he's probably too old for this shit because this episode was really messed up. But give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I love the interaction between him and I think his name is Carl, right? The coroner guy. I like the storytelling aspect of this. I like how it feels like the small town. It feels like very analog, and this kind of like you said, like this Pennsylvania like old style kind of town. It's very like gritty, and like you see like these mining communities. And it's always like the small towns that they always like set these like really like wild stories, right? Also, I love the beginning, like when the transition from like space turned into like the rocks of the mine. I like how like this whole thing was shot. The sound design also, there was like these weird like sounds. You could hear like heart beatings sometimes if you notice when he like did the autopsies. You could hear like this faint like heart beating sound, and I wonder if that was like the actual like the creature we were like hearing, because the bodies were dead. So I was wondering, like, was that the creature that we see? Yeah, I love like the mystery aspect to it. Like we see like there's these like different like people like disappearing, and then we get like this big like manhunt for like these dead bodies, and they don't have like any blood in them for some reason. And there was like these 2 like hunter guys. They went out into woods and they tried to like I guess they were trying to look for the bodies or something, and then they went disappearing. Yeah, this whole episode kind of felt like this kind of like invasion of like the Body Snatchers kind of like movie, because we see at the end there's this creature that's the one in the sphere, and so it's kind of like this parasitic creature that like comes to Earth and tries to like feed off like humans and stuff. What do you think of the creature itself?
Yeah, well, I actually liked more the dialogue that the creature had with F. Murray Abraham's character. It's funny. I just love the way how he talks. He's like so nihilistic and so aware of stuff, and he treats everyone like food. And I think it was really creepy too. It kind of reminds it takes a lot of like different designs from like other movies. Something that you would expect is very Squid like. I like the fact that they've been here forever, and it kind of like makes me think of like that conspiracy theory where people say like some like Mark Zuckerberg is like a lizard or something like that. Who knows? Maybe he's not a lizard. Maybe he's a squid person, right? And the
Right.
ship's destroyed just to have no evidence. And they've been
Hmm.
toppling societies and governments ever since the beginning or whatever. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. And I also like, so he's doing the autopsy and something happens where his spider sense tingles, I guess, and like the neck hairs like stand up. And
Right.
it's like, but I was confused about that too, because I was like, who is speaking to him? Because there's no ghosts here. So like, who's speaking to him? You know?
Oh yeah, he
Um,
was looking in the mirror or something. And I guess I was thinking maybe like the creature was like telepathic too. Like it could be
maybe.
like something like he started like talking in his head or something. Um, because also he was like, how did the guy like find the sphere in his car? So maybe like he communicated that somehow.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like that they use like the humans as like a vessel for like speech, and then they kind of like learn our language and our culture, and they kind of like have this very like educated like mannerism. But
Yeah.
I love that whole like interaction between Carl and the alien. Um, and as he's dissecting himself, they had kind of like had this back and forth, and you
Right.
could see how witty Carl is too. He's such like a, I don't know. It felt like he was like this detective, and he kind of like outsmarted the creature in the end. I love how they did it, because apparently like he was telling like Carl like, oh yeah, I'm smart, like you said, like it's an arrogant creature, and then it forgets that the tape recorder is on the whole time, so he basically like he monologue the whole what transpired. So eventually, we were talking about in the other episode how kind of like the protagonists were just like killed off in the end, and we kind of wanted the hero to like win at the end. So even though Carl did die technically, he still outsmarted the creature, right? So I thought
Right.
that was cool.
So he won. Yeah, that was really cool. And also Carl, just to mention that he has stomach cancer as well. So not only was he very brave, but he kind of did a sacrifice. I hope that sacrifice though was utilized later on. I hope people like understand that there's aliens here on Earth now, because he wrote on
Hmm.
in blood. He said, "Burn me. Listen to the
Hmm.
tapes." Um, yeah, because the creature tries to enter Carl. The creature feeds off blood, and it's a very like, it feels like a very kind of small episode too. At least later on, it's a very kind of intimate episode and gross episode just because of that. Because we literally see people's guts, and I just like the design, how a lot of the bodies seem frozen, and some of them were drained, some of them weren't.
Hmm.
Self mutilation too. That was like, oh, and then Carl, he's like trying to screw over the creature because the creature can't hear or see, and Carl was saying like, yeah, you're so arrogant, and look, you're a thief. That's what your race is a thief, and you can't. You're trying to steal something good that we have, right?
Hmm.
So they're weak on their own, and Carl like slits his throat. Damn, that guy went through a lot. He slits his throat 2 times, so, make deafs himself, right? Like he just puts a scalpel in his ear and then takes out his eyes, which I was like looking at
I'm not
that.
gonna lie, a couple moments in this movie I was like, oh fuck. I was like,
Yeah,
oh man, like I had to cover my eyes. There's a few
right.
movies where I actually like cover my eyes. Like I do like have a strong stomach for gore.
Mm,
But this, like, I don't know, it was something about it. It was like the way he did it. It was like so slow. Like the
yeah,
tension, right? He hovers it over his eye, and you see it like go through. I'm like, oh fuck, it's so gnarly. But I love it.
yeah.
It's like this show wasn't afraid to pull punches with gore.
Yeah, it's very, like you said, it's very tasteful, and I think it's done in a way where they had to kind of build up to it, right? It isn't like this thing where it's like everyone's getting screwed. They do it right, I think, and it mixes well with the storytelling. It's not just this gore
Right.
fest.
It's a
It's
it's a
very
plot device.
realistic. Yeah,
Hmm.
right, right, right. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next episode we see in the same kind of like body horror fashion is called The Outside, directed by Anna Lily Amarpour, and it's centered around this girl named Stacy, and she has like these kind of like insecurities, she has like, some weird facial features, and she has like these weird tendencies, like she likes taxidermy. And she's kind of like the outcast of her social group. So tell me what you thought of that episode.
If you gentlemen or ladies are in the dating pool, just make sure that you don't go out with somebody that does taxidermy, because eventually they'll probably kill you.
Right,
That's how it
and stuff
seems
you up.
in
Yeah.
recent media. You know. Yeah, she was a girl. You ugly. No, I felt bad for her actually. Yeah, I felt really bad. There was a lot of like commentary on like women and how they should look. But I think she was taking it too far, because she has a husband. She's married, and it's the actor from I think his name is, no, I actually don't know his name. He's from the Spider-Man series, Spider-Man Homecoming and
He
stuff
was
like that.
the
He's the
professor
professor.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's really actually supportive of her, and he actually truly loves her, and I feel really bad for him. But in a way, she's kind of like, she doesn't want that love. She just wants self-love more.
Hmm.
And so she's invited. She works at a bank. She's invited to like this secret Santa that's not so secret. And
Hmm.
this lady gifts everybody like lotion. That's such like a early 2000s like type of thing.
Right.
Like they just gift like bod to everybody. It's like, or something. You spray it
Right.
all over yourself.
Paul Mitchell
Yeah, I mean, it's
shampoo or
kind of
some shit.
nasty too. It's just, oh, what?
I was gonna say they had like Paul Mitchell shampoo or some shit they give each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. So you know the deal. Yes.
Right.
So it's kind of like the imagery too is like kind of nasty, the way how they're like rubbing it on
You
themselves.
hear
I don't know
like
why.
every like squish of the of the lotion. It's
Yeah.
like that's why I say
It's
the
like,
sound effect, like the sound design is really good in this show too.
yeah.
But yeah, I think this was actually very believable because I feel like this was
Mm.
set like in like the early like 70s or 80s or something.
No, the late 90s, because I
Or late
noticed, because
90s because
the
of
cars, yeah.
the fashion, the cars as well, just the way their hairstyles are too. So I think that's what
Hmm.
made this story believable because there's a lot of insecurities at the time. Like women have a perception of themselves that they need to be like very attractive and very like
True.
flaunting towards men. Like I think if this had take place in like modern times, it wouldn't have worked as well. So I like that the time period played a part of it. Like
Right.
and especially like the TV, that whole era of like commercialism. So
Yeah.
we see like the evils of like advertisement. Everybody's like sucked into like, and it's kind of like commentary now how like we are with social media.
Hmm.
But back then, like TVs were like the mainstream, and all these like commercials are like playing on women's perceptions of themselves, right? Just like magazines, and they're telling you like how you should be and how you should look, and what men think of you and how your friends think of you, right? So I like that they play with that idea. That's why I say like the concepts for these episodes are really like innovative. They take horror to the next level. They feel kind of like these almost like Jordan Peele films where they talk about like modern issues, but they spin it into like this kind of like horror fashion. So I like that there wasn't like a real villain or a monster per se. I mean, you could say like the TV was kind of like provoking Stacy into like this madness, but Stacy was the one that was really like she was making these choices, right? She
Yeah.
kind of had this insecurity of herself, and even though the husband was like validating her and saying like, you're not really beautiful, it's like what you are on the inside. She doesn't want to hear that. All she wants to hear is that I'm pretty, and she wants to join this kind of like status that her coworkers are.
Yeah, and so also a beauty of this show is that there's a lot of storytelling in the sets for you to, because they don't show exactly when some of these shows take place. So I like that you can kind of tell through the sets, and also there's a lot of plot devices, obviously, because Guillermo del Toro always comes out in the beginning and he puts down something. Um, yeah, so one thing I must say, it's like a little bit fake. I bet you guys noticed it too. It's like you could kind of look close into her eyes and you can see that they're clearly contact lens. I thought she was possessed at first too, which is funny because like her pupil's so big. You know how they do in like some of the other like shows, like they introduce demons and stuff.
Hmm.
But like you could see her actual pupil through the contact, which is a little weird. I bet you guys will probably notice that now that I said
Her
that.
eyes reminded me of Anita or Alita,
I
whatever her
need.
name
Oh
is
yeah,
from.
Alita. Yeah. Yeah, and so she buys a lot of lotion. The first time she tried it, she got kicked out of the party because everyone was like, "Oh my God, you have a rash!" Right? She's very sensitive, and the husband said that you're very sensitive too. So I wonder if that plays into her psychology. And then so she buys. The TV spoke to her. She buys a lot of lotion, and she's constantly putting that lotion all over her. She's taken off of work. She's really depressed. The husband is like kind of like this, like, babe, you're okay, whatever. goes back to sleep, and she just looks even worse, right? So give me your thoughts on that whole body horror thing with just the rashes.
Yeah, that shit had me itching at one point. I was like
Yeah.
scratching myself. Um, that's like eczema to the extreme.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nasty. I like the practical effects that they use. Because it really felt like, she was going through this very like medical epidemic.
Right.
But you just see like her insecurities just manifest in this product, and she just pretty much like she's like bathing in it at one point, right? Because she's so far gone, and she truly believes that this product is like the answer to all her problems. And I feel like a lot of women in particular, and you could say men too, like they always like kind of like cling to these products, like whether it's like cologne or some shit, like they always see them as like, this is what's gonna make me like appear more attractive, I guess. And I
Yeah.
like that the lotion itself was kind of like a villain too. It turns into like this like mush. I was wondering at first like why it was like squeezing itself out of the tubes, and then you see like it's actually like molding into this kind of like uh like uh like House of Wax clone or something. I like the imagery too. It kind of reminded me of like Shape of Water too. Like you see like those little Guillermo like throwbacks in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think the effects are cool. I like that it leaves puddles of lotion all over. Um, so let's talk about after she's like applying this, because most of the episode she's like applying this to herself and slowly getting more and more messed up. That surprised me what happened to the husband. I felt so bad, and he's so loving too. And they live such a simple life, because even the beer that he's drinking just says beer, right? So it's like everything's
Hmm.
simple. I think you kind of have a good life. Like, be happy with what you have, I guess. Just accept yourself. And what does she do? Like, she commits murder. So tell us a little bit about that. That was
I
so
felt so
crazy.
bad for that guy. He was just trying to be like a supportive husband and like, tell her like it's okay, babe. But I guess like she just didn't want to hear that. And I don't know why. I just kept laughing every when she stabbed him in the head. He's like, oh, oh, like,
Oh,
oh, babe.
I
Like I don't
know.
know why his reaction was like so goofy. Like you would have thought he would be in like shock or some shit. But he's
Right.
like, oh, babe, should I take it out? I'm like, you motherfucker.
He supports her even through his own death.
Right, that's what I'm
Huh?
saying. I felt bad because like even towards the end, he was still like a good guy. But yeah. Then
Yeah.
she goes to, like this complete like 180. It kind of reminded me of Anne Hathaway's character in Devil Wears Prada. Like she
Mm.
becomes like a whole new person, and but she doesn't even care that she killed her husband. In fact, she like stuffs him up in like this very like almost Jeffrey Dahmer style,
Right.
and like
After she
makes him like
bathes in the lotion. Yeah.
right, yeah, after she bathes and then she transforms. I mean, I didn't see much of a change, to be honest. When she transformed, she kind of looked like the same to me. I don't know if you noticed anything different,
I was like,
but
bitch, why don't you just go to your local CVS, buy makeup, like buy
right,
shampoo, and
go to the
and
poppy
then
store or some shit.
yeah, what the hell's wrong with you? You got to do all this shit? Seriously?
Literally, the only thing she changed was her fucking hairdo. That was it, and she got some like new clothes for some reason. I'm like, bitch, the fuck, like what?
The fact that she cut her hair, okay, there's more steps, do more. All right, you don't have to really like necessarily kill your husband and have
Right,
a
that
live
was like so
lotion.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Um, and then she goes to see her coworkers, and they kind of like, they're like, ah, like
Oh
I
my
feel like the
god.
spit on those women for a second. They were like the worst like depictions of like wives I've ever seen. They're like talking about like divorces and shit. I'm like,
Oh,
you motherfucker.
his dick, whatever.
His dick
Oh.
was so huge. Oh my god. I
Yeah,
don't know.
dude.
But
Yeah.
it was a fun episode for me. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool little like play on like just like beauty, what we define as beauty, how far we're willing to go for acceptance. But what were your final thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought exactly what you said. I think that's the point. I think every episode's kind of tragic in its own way. But I think Guillermo, he has a good way. I mean, and credit to the directors and just the people who wrote these short stories as well. But being in like that type of like Guillermo driven experience, I like that he, it's all about exploring humanity. And you said before, like exploring like sinful stuff in humanity and whatnot. So I really like that. I like this episode. And I like the fact that these two episodes were body horror-esque. And I kind of am getting the reason why they're releasing them every day, 2 by 2. Just because of that. It's like a through
Mm.
line, It's like you're reading a short, like, novel or something.
Right.
It's really cool.
There's like a rhythm. There's a rhythm to these episodes. There's like a
Right.
bigger motif.
Yeah.
I enjoy that actually. It actually makes me appreciate these episodes even more because it makes you kind of like guess what the next like episode's gonna be about, right? And I think that like now it makes sense like why Netflix is putting these out like every day this week. Because usually they'll give you like everything at once, but I like that they're kind of like taking. And it's funny because like Disney Plus now is like putting everything out at once now, so it's like they're like switching platforms almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rate episode 3 and 4 honestly. 9 out of 10. How would you rate them?
Together, 9 out of 10 for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it did its thing, horror wise. At least makes me cringe. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the fact that I got that reaction out of you just like shows how notable it was.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, ugh. I was like Homelander. Yeah. Well, everybody,
anyway, guys. Yeah, that's our review for Cabinet of Curiosities episode 3 and 4. Thank you for sticking around, but Akram, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, guys. So we just completed all our recording for today of this time of this recordings. Yeah, it was a fun ride. If you guys are new to the channel, we're doing week-by-week reviews for Andor, Handmaid's Tale. We have Tales of the Jedi already out, so please go watch that and enjoy it. Also, give this video a like if you actually really enjoyed it as well. Don't go to this video, please. But yeah, and check out our socials. We're doing a lot on IG at the moment. Check out our TikTok. Go also, if you like to listen to podcasts, go to our Anchor, Spotify, and whatnot. Anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, we're in it. But yeah,
thanks guys for tuning in for this review. If you like this content, we have a bunch of other spooky season stuff out already. We just reviewed Barbarian. We also did Hellraiser, Halloween Ends, and so many other projects already. So we hope you guys are having a wonderful Halloween season. But until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.